Hello, this is Yoanna. Mm, some people on the desert call me also Nyapal, and I'm saying this because I intended to record this story also in English, especially for my Australian and Aboriginal friends from Australia, because even though I moved to Poland, where I'm from, Australia is still such a big part of my life, and it shaped me very, very much. So that's why I wanted to tell you this story and the story of this drawing. So the story, just in 2 sentences, how I got to Central Australia is I was traveling. I quit my studies because I was really willing to search for something that really makes sense. Mm, I didn't find it where I was born, so I started to travel, and I went first to Portugal, to Spain, but still this wasn't sort of, I don't know, deep enough for me, or didn't make sense enough for me. And then, sort of by accident, I ended up in Australia, which I made many amazing friends. That took me eventually to the desert, first to Ali Karang community, and generally I spent there 4 or 5 years on mainly Warramungu lands and Arente, meeting many Aboriginal people, meeting many Aboriginal artists, and working with them for quite a long time. And this was such an amazing meeting for me, and I discovered so much because of that, because of them. The main thing I was really feeling like this is the place, so I was sort of searching for something that makes deeper sense and has a meaning and greater purpose. And I traveled quite a few places, and this is where in Central Australia, in those towns and communities, this is where I really felt that people of these lands really hold something that is super strong, super deep, and there is this great sense. Even though I couldn't myself really access it, I was feeling that it's there, and I was experiencing some things, and I was trying to understand it, but it was difficult to understand so many things. Yet something happened in me. Okay, so after experiencing all this, meeting the people and seeing how connected people are with their lands and one another, and catching a little bits and pieces of that depth that is within this culture that is so many thousands years old, and having all these reflections about colonization and what it is and how it works, and having the realization about the connection and the lack of it in the Western culture, I realize that what I need to do, what I want to do, is I really want to search for this connection with my own roots. And even though I lived for 4 or 5 years in Central Australia, and I felt this so much deeper connection myself with the earth and plants and the land in general, it was clear for me that I have to go back to where I was born, which is Poland, and explore my own roots, get to know them. So this is what finally got me here back home. And yes, and my intention was, because I'm an artist too, and I draw, and I sort of ask questions, and I let the answers to come. So that's how this drawing started to happen. My intention was that I wanted to connect with my roots, and I wanted to see I wanted to draw a calendar. And at first I was looking at where to get this story from, because in Poland here we don't have it's quite hard. Like first I started to think, okay, religion, but religion is a Catholic religion that is here on these lands already for thousands of years. And I was interested what are the main sort of anniversaries, such as Christmas or Easter and things like that. But then I realized this story is not a story really from this place. So it's a story of Jesus Christ is from the Middle East, so it's completely different plants and animals, completely different cycles. So I was okay, so this is not in the religion. So the second place I went to was the library to look for the books, for all the people that wrote the books, like anthropologists, about old culture, which here is Slavic culture, which was before the religion, Christian Catholic religion. So I started to look in these books, because of course I didn't got any stories sort of passed on from my parents or grandparents, such as what I was looking for. So I was looking in these books, and there were some things that really resonated. I was especially searching for the dates of Slavic anniversaries that go underneath the Catholic anniversaries. But then I also got really frustrated, because I realized that all these anthropologists and authors, they all have a bit different story. So they often discuss with each other, because one thinks that this is what happened and the other this is what happened. And I got frustrated and realized that, okay, I'm not going to find it in the books, because it would take me such a long time to understand it. So I thought that there must be other way, and I thought it would be something to do with just looking and observing the nature, and sort of more intuitive, so following the intuition. And this is what I already thought, and this is when I got back to Tennant Creek, where I was living at the time, and I heard this story, which is like, I'm sorry, I cannot say, because it didn't happen to me directly. I was hearing about it, and so I cannot say who it was, and can't even say if I'm saying what this person said in the right way, or it didn't got messed up. But so the story was that somebody asked an elder, Aboriginal elder, what he thinks about these times now, that like many languages are getting forgotten for all different reasons, such as this, that kids have to go to schools which are the Western kind of schools, and they don't spend so much time with bush, with elders and all of that, and this man said that yes, this is what is happening, but at the same time, like stories, the land holds the stories. So when people learn and open up to listen to the land will tell them the stories, and this is what got me really, really, really strongly, because I was feeling like, wow, this is beautiful, because I wish all my Aboriginal friends well, and that's they can maintain their culture and their roots and their strength, which they have even in these difficult times. But also I felt such a hope that it's not all lost, in the cultures where it is sort of lost, it's where the stories hasn't been passed on through generations. And so this is how I started to draw this. So I will tell you about it, what is happening here in that drawing. Okay, so that's the drawing. That's the whole cycle, the whole year in Poland. And I must tell you that here I need to tell you a little bit of background, because I did when we talk on the desert, but to tell you how the year looks like, because it's totally different climate than in Central Australia. So this is the whole year, and this is where the months are written in Polish. So this is, for example, the January starts here. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So this is generally, because I must tell you that this is generally the time of spring and summer, which is now, and it's all green and there is leaves everywhere. But we have the second cycle, which goes from sort of October till March. That is different, that the trees lose their leaves and it's dark and the day is really short, and it's cold. So here now it can be around 30 degrees, but in the middle of winter there is often minus, it used to be even minus 30, and there can be snow and water is freezing and all of that. So yeah, so that's the whole cycle, and I will tell you in detail what's happening here. So I will tell you the story about this tree. Another thing is that maybe helps to understand it better, that this is summer solstice here in Poland, which is the time of greenery and really long day. This is winter solstice, so that's the opposite. That's the very sort of dark time here in Poland, because the day is really short, like 8 hours or something like that, and really cold. This is spring equinox in March, and this is autumn equinox. So now we have this time, now it's August, so we are here on this tree, but I will tell you maybe from the beginning, from March, this story, because this is how I feel it's sort of starting. So in March, what happens here is after winter, there is this first flowers coming up. I don't know their English name, but in Polish they are called przebiśniegi, and they are so strong that they even go through the snow. This is also the time when many birds are starting to come back to Poland, because for the winter they would fly away to warmer countries. March is still the time, as the whole winter, when there is no trees on the leaves, because they left them in the autumn. So at first the branches are naked, but then the leaves start to appear, little buds, and eventually flowers too. And this is the time of flowers. This is the time, sort of still is a little bit now, like everything is really green and there is a lot of flowers, and there is sort of a lot of energy inside of plants that is sort of expanding to the outside, with colors and shapes and flowers and all of that. And this is the time of birds as well, because there is many birds here, even the ones that are flying away from the winter. And it's the time for love as well. There is a lot of Slavic stories about Noc Kupały, which is the longest day in the summertime. That is the time for love, But then after the flowers change into fruits, so there is this abundance of fruits, which is this time now as well, August. And eventually the fruits with the leaves will start to fall down in September and October. The birds will be flying away from the winter, and this is the equinox. So this is the day when the night and day is equally long. But from this time on, from like 20 something of September, it will be getting shorter. So I started to feel like, this is sort of my intuition and also observing the nature, that after that it's like going underneath, a little bit going underground, so because the nature does the same. So the animals, such as hedgehogs and other little creatures that have burrows in the earth, in this time of autumn, they will be collecting all different things and seeds for the winter. They will be preparing for winter to go deeper, And so we go deeper. This is the water This is the water flow, like a river or whatever waters. And this is what our ancestors, I read it in one of the books, they used to call the time from November till February, the time of stopped water, because the water was really freezing that time. So it could freeze in November and get unfrozen in February. So that's a long time. It doesn't happen now very much, but it's still a very, it's a particular time, you know. That's why I call this whole thing that it's the dance of life-giving forces with stopping forces, because here is like everything gets, as this part is like expansion and growing and flowering, this one is like going within. This one is not for doing very much. Maybe it's more about dreaming, you know, maybe it's more about feeling, maybe it's more about more mystical in a way, because it's dark. So with the darkness you don't see with the eyes, but you can still see and feel with different senses, you know. So I believe that this time is very, very important too, and very potent, even though it may sometimes look like it's not so easy, you know, because it's not so easy in Poland, because, you know, there is no fruits, there is only root vegetables, and it's generally dark, and there is not much, you don't get much power to do things. In certain way, I think it's maybe actually similar to Central Australia, this time of the year, which is again December, January, but that's the completely different way, because in Central Australia there is really a lot of sun, but there is so hot that it's also sort of time when you need to slow down or stop, because it's just impossible to do things. And here for us is the time that it's cold, so we go within ourselves, we go within our homes, we make fire to keep warm, or, you know, or we have other, of course, ways of heating, but it's especially nice with the fire when it's so dark outside, and the day lasts only sometimes 8 hours, because the sunrise can start at 8 a.m. and the sunset may be like just after 4. So that's the time which is very challenging. But at the same time, as with on the cycle, there is no such thing, the same as in nature, there's no such thing as death, even though the skull is sort of a symbol of death, but it's actually a symbol of stopping for a little bit, in the opposite of the flower. Because in nature, even what I see is that whenever, for example, there is a forest and the old tree fall down in the forest and it sort of dies, it becomes like a nest for new life, you know, because there will come mushrooms and all the little plants. Some animals will find that this is a perfect place to make nest and all of that. So it's actually becoming like in some ways a source of new life. Everything that dies comes back to the nature, and new life comes up. And this is very strong time, you know, this sort of going deeper and darker, but finally there is this point of winter solstice, that the day starts to get a bit longer. It's firstly a couple of minutes, but it's still, we can feel it, you know. It's like a hope. It's like a hope that we will emerge from the earth again, you know, from the underworld, you know. So this is the journey. This is the journey that takes us eventually closer and closer to the surface, and then we raise up, and then we walk this whole cycle again and again and again. Happens every year here in Poland. The same here I mentioned the cycles of the day and night, and also the moon, because this is all very cyclical. I don't know if there is such a word. And so I feel that here in Poland it's very strong, is this change. Like very strong the change of very long day and sunny and this sort of underworld. Like we are walking this through the air, all these different dimensions. And what I learned as well from this Slavic sort of Slavic stories is there was often there was this kind of division for different words, which I see as well. Like this is sort of a middle word. This is where we humans live. This is the, I don't know how to call it, sort of the top word, which was called Virai, which is, I don't know if I can say heavens. It's not gonna be, it's not the same meaning, you know, but it's kind of similar. Let's say it's the closest I can invent in English. But this is also, they were saying that the birds were the ones that are connectors or mediums between us and the cosmos, the greater cosmos, the upper cosmos. And then there is this underworld, which is also kind of another lands, you know, that we walk through. I also learned that some people called it that this is a path of gods and this is the path of ancestors. So that's the cycle we do. And there is another thing, because I always look at things as well, how what I see, what I feel on the intuitive level, but sometimes I look for the ways of being in this world, which is often very crazy. And I see this strong cycle that we go through the year, but I also see that this cycle happens within me. So I have also in different aspects of my life, I may feel that I am here or there. And the same, like I believe that sort of other people go through these cycles too. And what I can see on this drawing is that there is a place, I did the place in the middle, which is the one that connects these two words or three words, but it remains empty. So for me, it's the place of sort of knowing that these cycles happen within nature, within me, within other people, maybe even within sort of larger times and for the whole collectives, you know. But I believe from the place of consciousness that it happens, and from the center within our own center, we can be part of all of these changes with this greater sort of easiness, acceptance and patience, that sometimes we are here, but it's a part of the whole journey, you know. Okay, so this was the story of this drawing with a tree, the life-giving forces, the dance of life-giving forces with stopping forces. And this is also the story of my reconnection with my land, with my roots, with my intuition, with nature on this deeper level. So, and this is what sort of originated and started in Central Australia. So this is why I wanted to share this story back with you, because I share it a lot in Poland, and that's why I wanted to record this in English and share it back so it can travel and be heard in the place where it's in very many ways started. So thank you very much for listening. I wish you all the best for you. And I don't know, maybe we see each other either in Poland or in Australia, we see. Thank you. Take care.